The Raisina Dialogue is India's premier conference on geopolitics and geoeconomics, committed to addressing the most challenging issues facing the global community every year. All those things. Lots of leaders in politics, business, media, civil society converge in New Delhi to discuss the state of the world and explore opportunities for cooperation on a wide range of contemporary matters. It's an annual summit that happens in India in New Delhi. It is organized by the Observer Research Foundation, which is a think tank in New Delhi, in partnership with the Ministry of External Affairs, Government of India. So you could say that it's an official conference or meeting that happens every year, and you could say it's organized by the Government of India. So the Government of India will have a very strong presence. The Prime Minister this year attended the dialogue. So did various high-ranking Indian ministers and government officials, and the chief guest was uh, Madame Giorgia Meloni, Prime Minister of Italy. And the Raisina Dialogue has now become probably, maybe, possibly the world's largest annual gathering uh, of geopolitical and economic and other thought leaders and actual leaders around the world. So, and this is the list of speakers. We can see Anthony Blinken is there, Tony Blair, former Prime Minister of the UK, Madam Nirmala Sitharaman, Minister of Finance, India, and lots of other people. The cricketer Kevin Peterson, former captain of England, was there. Where is Mattis? So yeah, Mad Dog Mattis was there, the US general, and lots and lots of people. Some familiar. Velina Chakarova was there. She has appeared on this channel. So it was held very recently. Now, it began on a strange note. So Iran's Foreign Minister Hossein Amir Abdullahian was invited, but he decided to shun the dialogue over mention of the Iran protests. So let's take a look at this. He did not attend the Raisina dialogue in India, criticizing a video posted by the conference organizers showing protests in the Islamic Republic of Iran. Uh, a video on the ORF website criticized by Iran includes footage of Iranian women cutting their hair, a symbol of protest against the Islamic Republic's strict hijab rules, since the unrest sparked by the death in custody of a young Iranian woman in September. So the ORF website had a video on the website which included footage of Iranian women cutting their hair and protesting against the Iranian government. So the same news over here as well. So this move comes apparently because of differences with Raisina organizer ORF over a promotional video and all that. So this, we have to understand, it's not organized merely by the ORF, it's also organized jointly with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of India, the Foreign Ministry of India. So you could consider this to be a subtle or not so subtle message that is being sent to Iran by India officially. That Iran, if it wants to have a good relationship and partnership with India, it needs to do a little bit more. It's not doing enough. That's what is being possibly messaged to Iran, that you have not yet done enough for us to give you the kind of treatment we would give to other nations. See, historically, Iran has been extremely intransigent and non-cooperative with India. It has been very happy for India to buy Iranian oil, but it has not cooperated with India whenever India when it comes to the a good example is the Farzad B oil gas field that India discovered, that India's ONGC, I believe, discovered in the Persian Gulf, and they did not allow India to develop the oil field, the gas field. I think they offer it to other nations, so they have not been cooperating with India when it comes to gas. They supported Pakistan from time to time in the 20th century. In 1965, they gave actual material support to Pakistan in the war against India. Another thing that comes to my mind is India has been requesting Iran to send a few cheetahs to India. India has been requesting Iran since the 1970s to send cheetahs to India, to reintroduce the cheetah in India. The Iranians have not played ball. They have refused steadfastly. I don't know what they gain out of it. So the message that is being sent to Iran is that you need to do a lot more for us, to consider you as a genuine partner or ally, or not ally, but partner would be the right word. You need to do a lot more. You're not doing enough. So there was a diplomatic snub that was given by India to Iran. See, India and Iran are now beginning to cooperate again because of, and it's because Iran is isolated and they need the help of other nations. So it's not because Iran suddenly has become friendly towards India that Iran is cooperative with India. When it comes to the North-South corridor and other things as well, it's because Iran has no other choice. So India is telling Iran that you need to do a lot more for the partnership to work. That's essentially, I think, what India is telling Iran. So the Iranian foreign minister did not come to the Raisina dialogues. And Mr. Modi, obviously, as we can see, it's an official event. The government of India is fully involved at the highest level. So Prime Minister Modi attended the Raisina dialogues. The lady, Madame Meloni, was the guest of honor or the chief guest, and she gave the inaugural address. Uh, Mr. Lavrov was part of the Raisina dialogues. Uh, Russia's foreign minister, Mr. Sergei Lavrov. So he struck a defiant note on Ukraine. He was interviewed by an ORF official, by I think the director of the ORF, and the questioning was kind of, I would say, a little bit strong. The questioning, you could construe it to be kind of pro-West, the kind of questions that were asked by the Indian gentleman to Mr. Lavrov, and it is reported that Mr. Lavrov was interrupted several times. And this is an article in the Washington Post. Russia's Lavrov elicits cheers and groans at Indian political dialogue. So, to loud applause, Lavrov emphasized what he called double standards in questions directed to him about the war, especially when contrasted with the United States' own military interventions in past decades. So he got good, loud applause when he said that. However, his assertion that Moscow was the victim, not the aggressor in the Ukraine conflict, elicited laughter and groans from the audience. So if you see the video, you will hear laughter when he says this. I don't think the entire audience laughed at him. Maybe half the audience laughed at him. So if you look at the speakers, you will see a lot of people from the West. Obviously, you will see the global South strongly represented over here. But one could argue that this field of speakers, one could argue, is kind of dominated by the West to some extent, at least. It kind of leans towards the West. So that's the kind of audience we had. This is the gentleman who interviewed Mr. Lavrov, ORF director Sanjoy Joshi. So Mr. Lavrov was invited. There has been criticism of India for inviting Mr. Lavrov to the Raisina dialogues. Well, that criticism is none of anybody's business. What India does is entirely up to us. We are a sovereign nation, and we decide whom we invite or not. I think it's a very good thing that India did, inviting Mr. Lavrov and giving him the opportunity to put his points forward in front of a global audience. The world can only go forward if there is dialogue and cooperation, if we listen to both sides. So India is doing a very good job of doing this. It's the first time in over a year that the Russian and US foreign ministers have met. India made this happen, and India also gave the platform to Mr. Lavrov to put forth his perspective as part of this interaction. Obviously, lots of other speakers were there, many of whom were from the West. uh, so yeah, all those things were discussed. Dr. Jaishankar was very much part of this. Mr. Modi, Prime Minister Modi, was part of it. Former world leaders were involved. Even a cricketer, Mr. Peterson, was involved. So that's what happened just a couple of days ago. The One of the world's largest geopolitical summits happened with thought leaders and financial leaders and world leaders, journalists, other people from all across the world. And it is significant for the fact that Mr. Lavrov was given the opportunity to speak, and that's being that is currently being remarked upon in the West and across the world.